Hello, everyone. This is John Galt speaking here with a live stream where I'm going to just hang out, answer some questions, and screw around. So, yeah, let's do this, man. If anybody shows up, I suppose we could go to the Unreal 4 forums. That's always interesting. See if anything's going on in there. And if not, I have something that I may cover. Uh-oh. Got to download. Stupid launcher update. Go figure. Go figure. Let's go see what's cracking in the forum. I haven't been here in so long, I don't remember how this works. Multiplayer. It's always the topic of the day, isn't it? How do I use different game modes in multiplayer? Multiplayer ain't got nothing to do with that. Does it? I don't think so. Let's see. Event dispatchers. You know, I can only think of maybe one time I've ever even used them. Because you're doing it wrong. Player state invalid after seamless travel causing destroy session. How to set net engine version. Well, it tells me what we've seen. So that's it. Since my last visit, that's it. No more multiplayer questions. Multiplayer physics lag. Go figure. Is it possible to do a spline trace? Movement issue. Using anim notify in a character blueprint to move component on frame. convert box collision to box trace. How can my character buy an apartment in game? Somebody's wanting to move into the metaverse. How can I edit a variable in a character class from another blueprint? Move mouse up, but character look down. Get player controller error. Procedural mesh don't work correctly. Blueprint Ninja challenge. If I put a challenge out, somebody will build a blueprint for me. Change actor display name label from blueprint. Looks like there's been quite a few posts here. Steam advanced session problem with clients leave. Well, that looks like that's the end of that topic. Character and animation. You. Inspirational characters. I don't think I've ever seen a character that inspired me very much. Well, there's a lot of meta human questions. I haven't messed with that yet. Well, that's the end of that one. World creation, rendering, audio, pipeline and plugins. Well, that looks like that's the end of that. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot goes on here anymore. Unfortunately, well, that wasn't very fun, was it? So, I guess I'll move on to the question that I got asked today. Somebody was going to buy one of my templates for $6. The simple capture the flag, but they decided not to buy it because the only thing in the project is simple capture the flag. So they decided not to buy it. And the person that was inquiring about this template said that if it had some sort of shooting and killing in it, that he would have bought it. So I tried to explain to him that the reason it doesn't contain any of that is two reasons. One reason is because it's $6, right? So it don't cost very much. And so naturally you wouldn't expect for it to come with much. And second of all, if I was to put in shooting mechanics, what if somebody wanted to create a sword game, capture the flag? Well, then that means they'd have to take all the shooting crap out. What if somebody wanted to create a fighting game, capture the flag? Well, then that means they would have to take the shooting out. So I kept that project very simple with a very specific focus, and that is capture the flag. So in a capture the flag game, you need really two things. You need teams, right? And you need the ability to be able to capture the flag. And so that's exactly what that template comes with. So what I thought I would do is I would take said project, the simple capture the flag, and maybe show you guys how powerful this little $6 template actually is. Okay. Don't let the price tag fool you, because this thing actually does have a lot of stuff. And beyond that, it's not very hard to add things to it. But of course that involves you needing to kind of know how to do things. So let me go ahead and get this all nice and set up for 2 players. Maybe I'll just run through putting some shooting mechanics in this. Maybe. So for $6, this is what you get. So I went ahead and put single player in this, even though technically it's not meant to be a single player. This is just what I build into my default menu systems for all my projects. So when you spawn in single player, you still get to pick a team and do the exact same things that you do in a multiplayer. game, except your server is not visible. So if I was to come over here to this one and do a find games, it shouldn't find anything, right? Because I went in single player on this side. No sessions found. So that's exactly what it's supposed to do. And if I host up a multiplayer, you know, you got the choice of 2 different maps. You can pick up to 10 players, and you can pick a custom time limit, and then you can host and pick a team. And then this time around, it should locate this server here. And it also, I went ahead and included a match timer and a scoreboard. So really all this thing does is capture the flag, right? And there's some constructions over here on the wall. So if you press tab, that brings up your menu. And the server, the host, actually has some extra settings in here that the clients don't have access to. So at will, the server can change the map, or he can reset the time limit. So as you can see over here on this screen, we're at 14 minutes. So if the server decided he wanted to change it to a 5-minute limit, he could do that and it would instantly change it. Okay. And then if you keep reading the directions, you got a P key. So that brings up a player list that shows you all the players that are currently connected and what team they're on. And that's on a toggle. Z key is your suicide key. So you can murder yourself to test the respawn system. And there you go. And then beyond that, the goal here is really, you guys played Capture the Flag. You know how this works. You pick up the flag. And if you die before you get back, it drops the flag. And one of your teammates can pick it up before it goes back. And then you run it over your base and you get a point. Simple. Capture the flag. And if you die and the blue team happens to be near the flag, they can run over the flag and it will return it to their base. Or alternately, if you have the flag and you get murdered and nobody touches the flag, I think it goes back after 10 seconds. It'll automatically auto return. So we'll sit here and watch this and see if it actually does. Supposed to. And it did. And then you get to select how many flag caps to win. So I think this is set to 5. I'm not sure. So there's 1 cap. There's 2. Hopefully I won't run out of time. There's 3. There's 4. And when you get that 5th cap, it pops a screen up telling you who won. Now, if there is no team that gets 5 caps before the timer hits 0, it looks to see which team has the most captures, and that team is the one that's declared the victor. And if nobody caps a flag, it just says it ended in a tie. Now, there is map travel in this, so after you win with your 5 flag caps, it'll sit there for a few seconds, and then it will take the host and all the connected players to the next level. And then everything starts over again. However, map travel, for some weird reason, in all Epic's games, it won't let it work in a non-packaged version. So the only way you get the map travel to actually work is to have a packaged build. Okay? All right, and so with that, let's go back to one player, and then we will go back into selected viewport. And this time around, I'm just going to open a map. Nice, clean, neat little project. So we're going to open up this map 1. On in. So that's it. That's what your immaculate $6, that's what it gets you. A little project here, already set up for multiplayer, already has teams implemented, and capture the flag. And so the person that was interested in buying this, I guess he thought that for his $6, he should have got a completed game or a more completed game. And he didn't understand that, first of all, how much work goes into this stuff. And second of all, why would you want to put shooting mechanics in? Then anybody that wants to capture the flag game that is not shooter has to undo all that stuff. Or they just don't buy it at all because they think it's completely made to be a shooter game. And you can have all kinds of capture the flag games. It doesn't have to be a shooter. It could be a fighting game. It could be a racing game. It could be a sword slashing game. It could be a shooter game. It could be a third-person shooter game. It could be a first-person shooter game. And so the more that gets added into these templates, either you lose a lot of potential customers because of it, because they're not interested in shooter games, as an example, or it creates a bunch of unnecessary work for them. And I guess an argument could be made that, okay, the people that want the shooter stuff have less work to do, but the people who don't want shooter have a lot more work to do. So I guess you could say it balances out. But I kept it simple so that it could be dirt cheap. Okay? Okay. So, since I'm sitting here bored and I ain't got nothing else to do at the moment, I thought that I would go in here and we would put in some shooter mechanics in this. Just to show you guys kind of how simply this is. How simple it is to do something like this when you already have a foundation to start from. So naturally, one of the first things that we're going to have to think of is, well, the only animations that I included in here are unarmed animations. And if we're going to put a gun on this dude, we're going to have some weapon animations. Okay? So, pick your poison when it comes to animations. Which animations are you going to use? Where are you going to get them? Do you want to use free stuff? So what we're going to do is we're going to put in the Anim starter pack. Okay? I mean, I guess we could use these. Did the Modus... I don't know if the ones that Modus Digital gave away for free, I don't know if there's any shooting animations in them or not. Let me see if I can look here. Modus, I guess that wouldn't be what it's called. Mocap Basics. So let's have a look at this and see what it's got. No, it looks like they're all from Mobility Pro. It looks like they're all from Walks. Looks like they're all unarmed. Okay. I mean, it does. It looks like they're all unarmed. So we're going to go ahead and go with plan A, which is we'll just put the animation starter pack in here. So I'm going to add that to this project here, and we'll go ahead and put, now I'm not getting stupidly overcomplicated in this, but we will get a gun put on this dude, and we'll get the gun shooting. and doing particle effects and sound effects. And we will create the ability to kill the other players. So that means we'll have to put health on this character as well. Now, once again, doing this kind of stuff for free is not really something that I do, but I don't know, maybe this will show people that, you know, just because something's $6 doesn't mean that it's not worthy of being purchased. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, we're also going to have a gun. Okay. So a gun and some effects. So if I come in here, there is a military. These were giveaway free, and I think they're still free, right? So just to show you guys how you can acquire these, if you want to follow along, I'll show you guys how you can acquire. And there's even some free characters and stuff. So if you go to the marketplace tab here and just click free, don't go down into any of these categories, literally just click free. And then sort these from oldest first. And you can see here that you have these military characters that are free, these weapons here, 2 sets of weapons, 2 sets of characters. So that'll be something that you could use to get started with. Okay, so I think what I'll do is put the military weapons silver in here, and that'll give us some guns that we can mess with. Could we change the characters? Yeah, probably, but maybe. I do have chat open, guys, so feel free to leave comments and stuff. Hello, Mr. Oni. And hello, INRG Studio. Thank you for everything you do for us, and you're very welcome. Okay. So now that we have something to work with here, there's only about 1 million questions that you have to ask yourself. Now, once again, guys, this is going to be kept simple, stupid, because it's free. Do you want to start unarmed? Do you? Do you want to have the weapon on your back and you start unarmed? And then you mash a button and you grab the weapon off your back and now you're armed? And then you mash a button and you put it back? Right? There's 1 million different ways to do anything. And that's one of the things that is awesome about this Unreal Engine, and one of the reasons why I use it and have used it as much as I do. You can do anything you want to do. The only limitation, usually, is your ability and your knowledge. That's it. You can make this thing do anything. So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to put the gun in his hand. Okay? So that means he needs to start the game in a armed state. Okay? So in this Anim starter pack, there is already a blend space in here called BS Jog. Okay. Well, do we want to have it that way? Or do we want to have it, you know, aim down sights? Well, I can tell you that the aim down sights animations in this thing are pretty slow. And so to save from having to tweak 1 million times, we're going to go ahead and just do the jog. Okay. So in order to do that, we now have 2 skeletons in this project. So this Anim starter pack, as you can see here, already comes with a skeleton. However, my project, this Simple Capture the Flag, it already comes with some animations, a blend space, and it comes with a UE4 mannequin as well. This UE4 mannequin in my project already has a socket on it. And can you guys guess what that socket's for? Well, it's for the flag, right? So in other words, this is the default UE4 mannequin, the same exact one that comes in the animation starter pack. The difference is I have a socket on this thing called flag socket. Okay. So we're going to use this skeleton, not the one that comes in the animation starter pack. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go back in the anim starter pack and we're going to delete this entire mesh folder. We're going to delete it. And it's going to crack to shits. Of course it is, because reasons. So we're going to go ahead and say force delete. We can get rid of the material. Actually, I think we can jettison this whole UE4 mannequin folder, right? Let's just go ahead and get rid of the whole damn thing. Done. And now that simply leaves us with all these animations. So let me go ahead and save all. Now we need to assign all these animations. Actually, there's a map in here. Let's just go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Let's get rid of this map. Don't need it. We don't need this character blueprint. Get rid of it. And we don't need this animation blueprint. Get rid of it. And now that leaves us with all these animations and stuff. So we're going to, I don't know, can we select every single thing in here? Select the first one, hold down left shift and select the last one. Right click. Oh, it's only going to give us the option to retarget. That's not what we want to do. Okay. So we're going to pick only the animations. So once again, let's select everything and then hold down left control and unselect these blend spaces. Right click. Oh, actually, I think it did give us the right one. Hold on. Let's try this again. Let's select them all. Right click. Here's what we look for. Retarget skeleton on existing anim assets. No, that is not what we want. So let's unselect these two again. It's been a while, guys, since I've did this. I'm a little rusty. Select a skeleton. Will that do it? Save all. And then let's do these two. UE4 skeleton. Retarget. I don't think that duplicated them. I hope that's not what it did, because that's not what I wanted to do. So I think that's good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're good here. Okay. So now that we did that, we're going to go in the simple capture the flag project under characters, under blueprints, and we're going to open this animation blueprint here. And we're going to go in the anim graph, in the locomotion, and we're going to go in ground movement, and we're going to replace this blend space with this BS jog. So put direction into direction, speed into speed, and this into that. And let's compile and save. And now you can see this guy automatically started running, and this is because of an epic failure. So that blend space in here, this BS jog, we need to delete all these down here on the bottom. And we need to replace them with idles. And specifically the idle rifle hip. Put them in the corners, here and here, here, and here. And save. Okay, now let's spawn in here and see if we got our animations changed. And it looks like we do. Now, once again, I don't want to get in here dicking around with speed. It looks like maybe what they did, hold on here, let me just check something. Let's open this blend space up. Yeah, right here, this target weight index, hit this yellow button and set that back to default because Epic likes to screw with stuff. There, that's better. You remember how he was dragging when you first started? Also, it looks like he twitches when he stops. Do you see that? Let's see if we can clean that up a little. Is there anything else in here that they dicked with? I don't think that they did. So let's go look in the animation blueprint. My animation blueprint. What in the hell? Event graph. No, it don't look like it's nothing I did. I thought maybe I forgot to break this apart here. But I didn't. So that should be good to go. But if we jump, you see how he goes into this jump here? Well, that's derpy as shit, obviously. All right, so let's go back in the animation blueprint, back into here. These jumps, we're going to jerry rig these, right? Because there is no jump loop for that rifle hip. So we're going to make one. So we're going to use this layered blend per bone node. And we're going to put this into the base pose. And then we're going to get the idle rifle hip. Oh, not crouch. Definitely not crouch. Idle rifle. Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. Idle rifle hip. We don't want the crouch version. We want this version. We're going to put this here, plug this in, and we're going to have to set some settings here in this blend node. So select that node, come over here to layer, add an element, and we're going to split this character at spine underscore 0, 1. And we're going to check mesh space rotation blend, and maybe let's put 3 in here. Compile that and save it. And then we're going to copy this node. Actually, let's get the idle rifle hip and that node. And we're going to hit Control C, back out, and let's go in the fall loop. Paste that in here. Hook this into the top. And then we're going to go into the jump land. Paste that in here again. Put this in here. All that and save it. And now we're going to have to make a little bit of a modification to this rule. We're going to take this and we're going to do or, and we're going to do ratio, and we need the idle rifle hip. Time remaining ratio idle rifle hip. Dupe this. And we're going to put that in here and here and here. Make sure you hook them all back up again. And then we need to modify this rule. And so we're going to do another ratio. Time remaining ratio idle rifle hip. Dupe this. Or Plug these two back together, and then this goes here. And I think that's it. So now when he jumps, he should stay in the rifle hit. You see that? See that? Once again, when you use free crap, guys, you have to learn to work with it. And while we're on the animation kick, we might as well go ahead and get the aim offset, right? Because he's going to need to be able to look up and down and move his weapon up and down. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Now to do that, in the animation starter pack, we're going to make a new folder in here, and we're going to call it aim offset. And we're going to take this aim space hip, and we're going to copy that, not move, copy that in here. We're going to duplicate, and we're going to call this hip CC for center. We're going to dupe it again, and we're going to call this hip underscore CD for center down. We're going to dupe it again, and this one is going to be hip CU for center up. And now we open this, pause this animation, get him back in the center, right click and delete frame whatever. You're only going to be left with one frame. So keep deleting frames off this animation until you right click and it doesn't do anything. That means you've got one single frame of the character pointed in the pose that you want. So this is center. So I'm going to save that. And then we're going to open center down, pause the animation, scrub it till he's in the center down. Is that what this one is? Yep. Center down. And sometimes I scrub this around so I can see him from the side, and just kind of scrub it until you see him about right there. Zoom in on your notifies here and try to get it on a frame, right? So scrub it to frame 20. Right click on the left side of that. Delete frames 0 through 19. Watch for him here. Make sure he's staying in the center down. And then right click and delete all the frames after that till he has one single frame pointed center down. And then we do center up. You guys get the gist here? So we're going to scrub him till he's in the center up. Get him on the side again. Zoom in on the notify. Scrub it till a full frame. Actually, let's put it right there. Right click on the left side of that. Delete frames 0 through 9. And then right click and delete all of them except for one single frame. Save it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick all three of these animations here. Right click. We're going to go to Asset Actions, and we're going to go to Bulk Edit via Property Matrix. And over here under Additive Settings, we're going to change this to Mesh Space, and we're going to change this to Selected Animation Frame. And then we're going to hit our box here, these boxes, and we're looking for idle rifle hip. And that is what we're going to put there. Then we're going to hit File, and just save. Not save as, just save. And then we're going to right click and we're going to go under animation and we're going to create an aim offset 1D. And this will be for the mannequin skeleton. And we'll call this AO underscore hit. Open this up. And we're going to, under the axis here, we're going to type in pitch. And this is going to be -90 to +90. So just type 90. And the additive settings here is going to be idle, rifle, hip. And now we need to bring in center and put it here in the center. Center down is going to go to -90. See the -90 here? And center up is going to go here, which would be your 90. Hold down left shift and left click, and you can scrub through this aim offset, and that is exactly what the character will do. Not yet, but will do. So let's back out of here. And let's get the pitch first, and then we'll come in here and splice this in, okay? So in the event graph, we need to get a pitch variable. So we're going to pull out of this reference here, and we're going to say get base aim rotation. And let's bring this down here. And then we're going to make a delta rotator. And the actor rotation from this node here is going to go into B. The aim rotation is going to go into A. And then we're going to right click this and split struct pin. We're going to take the pitch, right click, promote to variable, and we shall call this pitch. And then we can just plug this in here. Compile that and save it. And now back in the anim graph, right here, we're going to bring in that aim offset, AO, hip, and we're going to plug this in here, and then we're going to take that pitch that we created and plug that in here. Compile that and save it. And now let's go make sure I ain't got these backwards. So when you pitch down, the character pitches down, and when you pitch up, the character pitches up. Now, before we go any further, let's make sure that that replicates. So we're going to go back to 2 windows and play in new editor windows. And we'll put one dude here. And we'll put one dude here. And now let's go see if when I pitch, does he see me pitch? And if you look in the left screen there, I see myself pitching. And he sees me pitching. Alt tab, and the red dude, when I pitch, he pitches, and I see it, and he sees it. So there you go. We got a replicated aim offset. Now this damn character seems to be with his feet poked in the ground. So in the character blueprint, we're going to jack him up a little bit. He's too far down into the ground. So I'm going to select him here. And under this location, let's change this to -90. That might be closer to having him on the ground so his feet isn't sticking in the ground. Yep, I see his feet. So we'll roll with that. Yep. There. Now he ain't got his feet in the ground. All right, now what? Well, I guess the very next part of this endeavor will be to get the gun, right? Get the gun on the character. So I'm going to go have a look at these guns because I like the guns to be facing down the X axis. So I'm going to look under weapons, and we're just going to give him this rifle here. So I'm going to open this rifle. And as you can see, if you look at this tumbler down here, the gun is facing down the Y axis. I want it facing down the X axis. So to fix that, I'm going to export this gun, right click, asset actions, export. I'm just going to stick this on my desktop. And then I'm going to say import from the desktop. And we're going to re-import this gun. Yes to all. And I'm going to hit this fold out here. Because we do not need it to create a physics asset. It already has one. So we're going to select the assault rifle physics asset here. And we need to rotate this, import rotation. Let's try -90 on the Z and see if that gets it turned correctly. And now if I open this up, there it is. But for some reason it turned it solid white. Why did that happen? I don't have no idea. I didn't make this shit. But it did. Let me what the hell? It shouldn't have did that, right? But it did. Look, M assault rifle. We need to put that back on there. How did that happen? Excuse me, Epic Games. What the hell just happened here? I guess maybe it created a material when I re-imported it. Is that what it was? Probably. Easy enough to fix, but I think I forgot to uncheck import textures and shit, and it made a material. See there? We don't need that. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Now we need to put a socket on the skeleton of this character. So back in my project here, this UE4 mannequin that we're using, we're going to open up this character. We need to get an animation playing, right? So let's go under animation, and we need the idle rifle hip. So let's put that animation on. Pause this animation. Hit the skeleton tree tab here. And for the right hand, whatever the hell that is, we're going to right click and we're going to say add socket. And that's still not paused for some reason. Pause, you son of a. Then we're going to right click this. Let's just rename this to R weapon for right weapon socket. Right click that and click add preview asset. And we're looking for the assault rifle A. And let's slow this camera down here. And let's go have a look at how screwed up this is. Yep. So we need to turn off these snaps here. And let's rotate this weapon around so that it's kind of similarly facing the correct direction. And you guys can get in here and screw with this till the cows come home. Trying to get it to line up perfectly. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Something like that. Good enough. Lock it down. Ship it. And now, that's just the preview, by the way. So that ain't got the gun on the character. That's just to get it lined up so that when you do put it on the character, it'll be facing the correct direction, okay? Okay. Okay, so now what we need to do is save everything in case Epic blows up, which it does all the time, most of the time. In the character blueprint, in here, we're going to, there's a million different ways that you can put this gun on this character, but we're just going to use event begin play. Okay, so I'm going to add a pin to this, and I mean, I suppose we can move this over here. There ain't much logic in here because this is simple capture the flag, guys, right? Okay, so for now we'll do it down here. So what we're going to be doing is, first and foremost, now once again, we're going to set this up for multiplayer because this is a multiplayer template and there is no point in doing this if it's not set up for multiplayer, okay? So consider this a bonus. You get to see how I set up multiplayer shooting mechanics, okay? So we're going to be doing a switch as authority here, and we can go ahead and pull this out of here. And what this node does, for those curious, every event in this engine in multiplayer, it fires on the server and the client. The client has no business giving guns out. So this will take that client event and send it into nowhere, right? Because it comes out the remote of this node, this macro. So the server is the only one that comes out of here, okay? A lot of people think that if you want something to run on the server, you use this pin. If you want it to run only on the client, you use this pin. That is absolutely not what this node does. It never has, and it never will. As a matter of fact, if you double click this node and have a look inside, you will see exactly what this actually does. It checks this blueprint, meaning this character blueprint. Target is self. That's this character blueprint. And it's asking if it has the authority or not. Meaning, is it the server or not? If it is the server, it comes out the true pin. If it's not the server, it comes out the remote pin. Okay? Just so we're clear on what that macro actually does. Then the server, because we filtered out the client, is going to spawn. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got to create the weapon blueprint first. You can't spawn the weapon blueprint if you don't have a weapon blueprint. So, compile this and save it, and we'll just leave that right there. Just hold on right there. So we're going to create a new blueprint. Yeah, let's just create it in here because I'm not going to build a shitload of stuff in this project. This is just a demonstration purpose. We're going to right click. We're going to create a blueprint. It's going to be an actor. And we're going to call this VP Weapon Master. And we're going to open this. And we're going to add a skeletal mesh, because those weapons that we're using are in fact skeletal meshes. And we're going to call this weapon mesh. And we're going to replace the default scene root with this mesh. So drag it up there where it says default root. See that little box? Drop here to make a weapon mesh new root. We're going to do that, compile that and save it. And with the weapon mesh selected, we're going to plug in that assault rifle A, like so. Now let's compile and save again. Now we have a blueprint to spawn that is going to be our weapon. So we're going to do spawn actor from class out of the authority. We're going to plug in that weapon master, VP weapon master. We're going to say always spawn, ignore collisions. And the owner and instigator, we're going to get a reference to self. Get reference to self. That is going to be the owner and the instigator. This means that once this spawns, this character blueprint or any character blueprint that spawns in your game is going to automatically be assigned as the owner and the instigator of the weapon that the server spawned. Okay. And that's important in multiplayer, by the way. If you get that wrong, it screws up your logic later down the line when you start doing leaderboards and kill cams and kill boards and all that stuff. Okay. Okay. Stupid autosave. Shut up. The spawn transform, we're going to get the mesh of the character. And we're going to say get socket transform. Get socket transform. And we're going to plug this in here. And you can put in a bone name here or a socket. So we're going to spawn this at the R weapon socket. Compile that and save it. And now let's go see what happens. We'll just go through this process. So everything in this engine, if you guys haven't figured this out yet, is a process, an order of operations. So when we spawn in here, you're going to see that it spawned the gun. It ain't pivoting. And when we move, it just stays right there where it spawned at. See that? And this one will do exactly the same thing. Actually, it didn't even spawn him one. What in the hell? Oh, I know why. Do you guys know why? I know why. I forgot the most important part of this already. This weapon has to be set to be replicated. Duh. I forget that every damn time. All right, let's try that one more time just to make sure before we get halfway into this, trying to figure out why we ain't got a weapon spawned. Oh, look, there it is. So the next part, guess what the next part of this order of operations is here. Well, you've got to take the weapon that you spawn here, and we're going to promote this to a variable, and we're going to call this current weapon ref. This variable needs to be set to be replicated, just like that. And then the next part of this will be, you can pull out of here, or alternately, you can do this, get this, and do attach actor to component. The parent is going to be the mesh of this character, and the socket is going to be the R weapon socket, which is what we named that socket we put on the skeleton. And we're going to snap to target, snap to target, and snap to target. And now we should have that weapon attached to the character's hand. So now when we move, it takes the gun with us. And when we pivot, it's attached, right? So it will pivot with the socket. And that should also be true for this dude. See? And now if I come over here and let you look, you will see that it does in fact do exactly that. All right, that's it. We created a whole game. Done. Ship it. So the next part of this is getting the gun to shoot. Okay? But before we can even do that, do you guys see anything missing here? What's missing here? The crosshair, maybe? Right? So we're going to have to get a crosshair. Now, what you can do is you can add here, you could add the first person template to this, but we're not, because all we need is the damn crosshair. I don't give a single damn about anything else in that first person template. So to keep from muddying up the project, we are going to create a first person template for the sole purpose of getting a crosshair. Okay, new project, first person, create project, open said project, and let's go scavenge out that crosshair texture. So it should be under textures. Wait, what? Why? Why are you doing that? Stop that. We're going to take this crosshair, export the crosshair to the desktop, not documents. And let's just call this, actually, let's call it T_default_crosshair. And then we go back into our project. Wow, it looks like it created two. Is that what happened here? Epic. Fix your shit, would you? Be a pal. Let's make a new, actually there's an assets folder in here. Let's just simply put a new folder in here called textures. Oh yeah, that's spelled exactly wrong. Textures. That's what we're looking for. And we're going to import the default crosshair. And we're going to open this. And we're going to change the texture group to UI. Like that. And save it. Now, there's only about 1 million different ways you can put a crosshair on a character. Only about 1 million. But since we are going to have to also have a health UI, meaning we're going to have to put a green health bar on the lower left of our screen, we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to do this the way that I do this, which is under blueprints, I guess we could just make a new folder under blueprints called Widgets. And in this Widgets folder, we're going to create a user interface, a widget blueprint. And we're going to call it W_container. And then we're going to create another user interface widget. And this one is going to be called W_crosshair. Save both of those. And we're going to open the HUD that's in this project already here. And on event begin play, where should we put this? That's the scoreboard. That's the in-game ref. That is the player list. We're going to put it at the, I guess we could put it at the end of this one here. We're going to create widget. The owning player is going to be this, get owning player controller. We'll pull this down here and plug this in. The widget that's going to get created here is the container widget. And then we're going to add to the viewport like that. And then we're going to, in the crosshair widget, we're going to add an image here. And we're going to set this to be center. And we're going to zero these top two out. And we're going to set this to 64 by 64. And we're going to set the alignment to 0.5 by 0.5. And we're going to compile that and save it. And then under the brush here, we're going to restore this. And we're going to go get that texture. And we're going to hit this button right here. Use selected asset. And now we have a crosshair right dead in the center of the screen. Now we're going to open the container widget here. That's the crosshair. That's not what we're looking for. The container widget here. And over here, under user created, we need to find the crosshair, drag it in here, anchor, center, zero these top two out, set this to 64 by 64. And then we're going to 0.5 for the alignment. And now, as if almost by magic, look what we got. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. But it's showing up on the menu, so we don't want that. Order of operations, guys. Order of operations. So back in the player HUD, where we're creating this widget, we need to create that in a different place, right? So, hey, wait a minute. I already have a container ref. How did that happen? Why do I already have that? There must be something in it. Well, if that's the case, let's go see if we can find that. Yep, right there. Container. Okay, so fine, we'll put it in this container. The one that comes in this project already. Fine, have it your way. Who built this again? Oh yeah, that's right, I did. So 64 by 64. And then 0.5. Now let's go see if that's sorted something out here. Oh, look at that. Now we don't have the crosshair when I spawn in. Look at that shit. And then this guy should be the same. Look at that shit. How about that? So scratch everything that we just did when it comes to this widgets folder. We can just hose this because I don't need it. Force delete. Let's go back in that HUD. And let's get rid of this right here that we did at the end. It's almost as if somebody that built this template knew what somebody was going to be doing next. How did that happen? I don't know. Okay, so we have a crosshair now. That was the whole point of that. So now we can make the gun shoot. Okay, so back in the, let me close up some of these folders here. Not system, not that. Characters folder. Yeah. So we need to make this guy shoot now. And there is no key press in here for that. So we're going to go into settings, project settings, input, right here, action maps. We're going to add one and we're going to call it fire weapon. And that is going to be the left mouse button. And now in the character blueprint, we can search for fire weapon, just like that. So we're going to hop from the character blueprint into the weapon blueprint. Okay. So in the weapon blueprint, we're going to delete all this. We're going to create two events in here, two custom events. One is going to be called client underscore on weapon fire. This is going to be set to run on owning client. We're going to create another custom event, and this is going to be called client off weapon fire, which is also going to be set to run on owning client, just like that. Compile that and save it. Back in the character blueprint, we can now take the current weapon ref, get it, and we can call, actually, we are going to have to create two custom events in here because the client can't shoot this gun. All the client can do is ask the server to shoot the gun for him. Okay? Clients can't do that. Not in a multiplayer game. So we're going to create a custom event. And we're going to call this server fire weapon. And if you can't tell, I prefix my custom events with where they need to run. So this needs to run on the server. And we're going to create another custom event. And this one is going to be called server stop weapon fire, which is also going to be ran on the server. The client is going to ask the server to start weapon fire. Where is it? Actually, let me rename that. That should be called server start weapon fire. Let's try that again, shall we? Client asks server to start fire weapon. Damn it. I still ain't got that right. Son of a dyslexic bitch. Start weapon fire. Dyslexia is hard. You know, and honestly, it don't make a damn what you name these. It really don't matter. Just whatever makes sense to you. And then we're going to call, the client's going to call server stop weapon fire. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do an is valid, this macro here called is valid. The server is going to check to see if the weapon is valid. And also, you know, this would be where, just to be clear here, why this event exists. This would be where you would check to see if you even got a gun, which is what this is. Then you might check things like, is the weapon already shooting? Is there ammo in the weapon? And that would be checked by the server, right? You don't want clients checking that stuff. But in this case, since we're doing it, keeping it simple, stupid, we're just going to check to make sure he has a gun, because I'm not adding ammo and ammo counts and reloads and all that shit, okay? Not for free. This is a freebie video. Okay, so we're going to call on that current weapon client on weapon fire if it's valid. And we're also going to have the server call client off weapon fire if it's valid. Then we will compile that and save it. And then back in the weapon master blueprint, that gets us to right here. So the server is going to instruct the client to run a line trace. Actually, he's going to run a sphere trace by channel. Server, client asks the server to shoot his gun. The server validates the gun, checks ammo counts, all that stuff. Once that checks out, the server instructs the client to run a sphere trace by channel. Where this is going to start is going to be from the camera of the player. This camera right here, the follow cam. So we need a way to get a reference to the character in here. Now I know you guys have probably seen people do this a million different ways. I'm going to show you guys the way that I do this. We're going to create a variable in here and we're going to call it character master ref. And we're going to change it from a Boolean variable to a reference of a character master, which is what the character blueprint in this project is called. We're going to compile that and save it. It is going to be replicated. This variable is going to be replicated. It is also going to be editable And it is also going to be expose on spawn, like that. Now, by checking that, those two buttons right there, check this out. If we go back into the character master blueprint, back up here where we're spawning this weapon, look at the pin that it has now. So now all we have to do is pass through a reference of self being this character blueprint, which then in the weapon blueprint sets this variable to that character reference, which then means we can take this variable here, get it, and from it we can get the follow cam right here. And then we can get its world location. And that will be where this trace starts from. You guys see how that works? Then we need to get the world rotation of the same camera. Get world rotation. From that rotation, we want the forward vector. Then we're going to multiply that by a float. That will be the distance of the trace. Then we're going to take this one and do plus vector plus vector. We're going to add these two back together. And that is going to be the end location. And I'm going to put in for now 4,000 here is the default. And we're going to set this to draw debug for duration. And let's go ahead and compile that and save it. And let's go just click this up here and let's see what happens. Okay. So now, wait, where the hell did the damn crosshair go all of a sudden? What in the Sam hell? Did I just do here to break all this? Oh. Well, it seems as though I deleted the damn crosshair widget, didn't I? Well, of course I did, because that's how I roll over here. I screw shit up. Okay, well, fine then. We will right click here, make a user widget, and we'll call this VPW cross freaking hair. And we'll go back in here, add the son of a bitch an image back, anchor that to the center, zero this out and this out, and set it to 64 by 64.5 for the alignment. Why did you guys let me do that? I cannot believe you guys sit there and let me do that. You should be ashamed. And now we got to go fetch said crosshair again, the texture, and we will hit that button. And then back in the container, now we have that crosshair back magically. Center it back up. 0, 0, 64 by 64 and 0.5 on the alignments. Now, how about now? Spawn back in here. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. And if I shoot that left trigger, look at that. You see the trace? See it? See it? And if we alt tab and go over here to the blue dude, and he does it, look at that. Beautiful. Okay. So I've said this in a million videos, but I want to go ahead and say it again here. The reason that I use a sphere trace instead of just a single line trace, see that little skinny ass line? How little skinny that is? Well, since we used a sphere trace instead of a line trace, we have the ability to add a radius here. So you could bump this up to something like 2. And now instead of shooting little skinny lines, it actually has a little bit of a thickness to it. See there? And it makes it a little bit easier to hit stuff. And on top of that, it feels better when you're shooting at stuff. Instead of having to try to hit it with a little skinny line, you can actually put a little bit of a radius to it. Okay? Problems that we're going to solve. If I do something like this and shoot, look at that. I just shot myself in the damn back. Do you see that? That's no bueno, right? That's no good. So there's a couple ways to solve that. One way, in the weapon blueprint, this actor to ignore, we can do this character reference we brought in here and do make array, and we can have it ignore that character blueprint like this. That might solve it, maybe. Oh, look at that. We can't shoot ourselves in the back now, but check this out. If I bring this dude over here, and I come over here and I do this right here, and I put the camera, my camera, behind him, and I do that. Look at that. I just shot him in the ass. See that? That is no bueno too. So what I like to do, and a lot of people argue with me over this, but I don't really give a shit. In the character blueprint, in the viewport here, we're going to add a sphere collision, just like that. And we're going to call this weapon. Maybe let's not call it that. Let's call it camera trace start LOC. Camera trace start location. Okay. And we're going to parent that trace, that sphere, to the follow cam by dragging it over top of it and letting it go. Then we're going to come over here with the sphere selected, and we're going to zero this out. And you see how it snaps it up here to the camera? Then we're going to shrink it. It don't need to be that big. So we'll make it, I don't know, let's just call it 6. Then we're going to go under the collision here, and we're going to turn off generate overlap. We're going to set it to no collision, and we're going to say no characters can't step up on it. And then we're going to take it exactly forward and drag that out to about the player's head. Something like that. Then in the weapon blueprint, we are going to change what we're getting the locations from to the camera trace start location. And we're going to replace that camera with that. And we'll drag this down here like so. Compile that and save it. And now, if we shoot, look, it comes from that little sphere location instead of all the way back from where that camera's at. So that would have solved that right there. Just the same as the ignore actors would have solved it. And then alternately, now it's impossible to do what we did a minute ago. So if I pan my camera around and try to shoot him in the ass again, obviously it's not going to hit him because it's not starting back there anymore. See that? Okay. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a trace come from the muzzle of the gun and go to where this camera trace hits. So see there, this camera trace that we're doing, you could use that to shoot with, but it's really only to give the gun the location it needs to go to, because we're going to make it come from the gun and go to where the camera trace hit. Okay. So back in the weapon blueprint, we are going to be doing another duplicate this sphere trace. We're going to be doing another one of these, just like this. This time, we are going to get the weapon mesh, and we need to make sure that this weapon actually has a socket on the end of it. So we need to go in these assets we downloaded, these shitty assets here. We need to go in here and look at the skeleton of this assault rifle and make sure that it has a socket. And it does. It has one called Muzzle Flash. So we can copy this name and from this weapon mesh, we want to get socket location. And we're going to paste in that muzzle flash name. That is going to be the starting point for this second trace that we're going to do. Then, if this hits something, we're going to do a select vector node. If this camera trace hits something, we're going to break these hit results. If it hits something, we're going to send this trace to the impact point. If it doesn't hit anything, we're going to send that muzzle trace to the end of this one. And that is going to be the end location for this second trace. Ignore actors. We can use the same one, like so. Compile that and save it. And now check out what we've got. It's getting better and better. It's getting more and more AAA, guys. Bam. Now, we have a trace coming from the muzzle of the gun going to where that camera trace goes, which is exactly in the center of that crosshair. So now, regardless of the idle of this character, regardless of the jumps, it's always going to go exactly where that damn crosshair is, which means you have a wonderfully accurate aiming system. Doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way, right? This is the reason why you add things like spread, recoil. But if you don't start with a 100% dead nut, dead balls accurate weapon system, it's never going to be good. You can always use logic and scripting to mess up the aim to make it less accurate, but you can never get it to be accurate unless you start out as a dead nuts accurate weapon. You see how that works? And just for a quick test here, making sure that the client's still doing what he's supposed to be doing, which he is, which is awesome. Okay, so now the next part of this we're going to skip for now. Okay, so back in the master weapon blueprint, wherever the hell that is, back in here, that's it. That's all we really need for right just now. And you'll notice we didn't use this event yet. Okay, we will. potentially. But for now, that's all we need right here. The next part of this, after the server instructs the client to run his trace system, then we're going to do another custom event. Add custom event. And this one is going to be called server shoot info, which means, of course, since the way I named it, that is going to be ran on the server. So what we need to do here is this information right here that the client acquired, we need to transfer that information back up to the server. So we need to pass through the hit result and the return, which is whether it hit or not. So we're going to select this node and we're going to add two parameters. The first one is going to be hit result, and we're going to change it to the type hit result. And this one, the second parameter, is just simply going to be called hit. And we're going to call that right here server shoot info. We're going to pass through this information that this second trace collected, not the first trace. Remember, this one's only to tell this one where to go to. This is the one we're going to use to determine whether we deal damage or what, okay? So since we're not doing damage right at this very moment, this is where it will go. And we're going to go ahead and put our placeholder in. So now we're going to take this node and duplicate it. And we're going to change the name of this to multicast weapon FX. And we'll compile that and save it. And we're going to call that right here multicast weapon FX. And for now, we're just going to pass this right through here, right? Because we're not going to do damage just yet. We're going to skip that for now. But that's where it'll go. It'll go right here. And alternately, if you want to do projectiles instead of hit scans, the spawning of the projectiles will also go right here. Okay? So now we're going to do the effects. So what effects do we need? Well, we need to spawn sound attached. And the sound effect, there should be some in here. Let's look through here and see what we got. Maybe let's just type rifle. And we have impact, body impacts. That's not what we're looking for. Raise, lower, impact, no. 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 Rifle whip, rifle fire. Rifle fire Q. The attached to component is going to be the mesh of this weapon. And you could put it at the muzzle flash. Like if you fold this out, you can put the name in. If you leave that empty and none, it should just put it at the center of that blueprint, which will be fine. So let's go ahead and compile that and save it. And let's just pop in here and see if we've got a single fire sound. There it is. And then if I alt tab over here is the blue team. How about you, buddy? Oh, I don't hear anything. I got nothing. I got nothing. So let's open this blueprint back up. Why, oh, why is that not playing a sound effect? Let me go back into the... Okay, so that is the client. That is correct. It goes up to the server. Run on server. That is correct. And it's calling a multicast. Oh, duh. I have to set this to be multicast. Hello. How about now? How about you? Now, how about you? Now, before we go any further, I want to give a quick TLDR on sound effects. The only way I know to test sound effects is if you hit your tilde key and type solo audio and hit enter, it makes one of these characters deaf. So if I take this red dude, yeah, let me get him farther away. See how he shoots and you can't hear anything? Now watch as I start getting closer to the blue dude. Hear it fading in? So let me get him all the way back over here again. And we'll reverse that. Okay? So now on this left screen, we're going to type solo audio. Oh, yeah, that's exactly wrong. Tab. No, tilde. Solo audio. Now let's see if he hears. Now he hears, which means this blue dude should be deaf. Yeah, you don't hear anything. Now as I start getting closer to red dude, hear it fading in. Awesome. So our sound is in fact replicating. So next we need to do a on emitter attached. And that will be a muzzle flash, not tracer, P assault rifle muzzle flash. Okay. The attached to component will be exactly the same weapon mesh, but this time we really do need to put in the name of that socket on the end of that gun, which was, we can recopy this name. It was called Muzzle Flash, and we will change this location to snap to target, keep world scale, and we will compile that and save it. And we should have a muzzle flash. And if we alt tab with the blue dude, can he see his? Oh yeah. And if I come over here to red dude, check it out. And then if red dude shoots, check it out. And now, carrying on with this endeavor here, we are going to put a branch, and we are going to check this hit. If this hits something, then we are going to play sound at location. This will be for the bullet impact. The sound will be impact. Come on, where is it? Rifle body impact. Let's do, is there a surface? Yes. Rifle surface impact. There is not one for the pistol in this pack, so we're just going to use the rifle. Or wait a minute, we're using the rifle. So yeah, that'll work. Rifle impact. The location, if we take this hit result we pass through here and break it, break hit result, this will be the impact point. And then we'll go ahead to speed this up a little bit. We're going to do a spawn emitter at location this time. And the location will be the same impact point. The rotation, if you take the impact normal and type rot, and we will make rot from Z, and that will be the rotation. And then we just plug in a impact particle, which would be P impact metal medium. That'll be fine, I guess. And then we can, look at that. Take blue dude. And then if we come over here, the red dude ought to see him. And then the blue dude ought to see him. And then once again, I'm not going to go through testing the sound again, but you would have to do it the same way, right? You would do the solo audio, find out which one's deaf, take the other character and shoot at him and see if he hears those bullet sounds, which I can tell you that, yes, hear the bullet sounds, okay? And now we can turn off those trace debuggers. We really don't need those anymore at this point. So back over here in our traces, we can set that to none and set that to none. We'll pilot and save it. And now we have officially created a hit scan weapon. How about that shit? Can he shoot this guy? Yep. How about that? Okay. What's next? Let me light me up a smoke here. What's next, guys? Health. You can't deal damage until you give something health. So, are we going to do that? Oh, God, I'm thirsting to death. I talk too damn much. Okay. So, how do you add health to a player? How? Well, we're going to open up the character master blueprint, and we're going to create two variables here. The first one is going to be called max health, and we're going to change this to an integer. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen people do floats. We're not doing floats. We're doing an integer. And we're going to create another integer, and it's going to be called current health. The current health variable, we are going to set to be replicated. Not the max health, only the current health. Then up here on event begin play, we're going to add another pin, and it is simply going to take the max health, and it is going to set the current health to whatever value we put in max health. And we will put another switch as authority node that we talked about earlier, because the client has no business setting health values on a character. So we'll plug this in here, and the authority is going to set the health. So we're going to, in the max health variable, we're going to set 100 health. You can set this to whatever you want, but we're going to put 100 in. So now what happens is when the player spawns into the world, the server is going to set his health value to whatever we put in max health, which in this case is 100. Now you need a way to display that health on the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a widget in the player widgets here in this project. We're going to right click, create user interface widget blueprint, and we're going to call this BPW underscore health. And we're going to open this widget, and we are going to bring in a text and a progress bar. And we're going to type in this here. We're going to type in health space colon space and hit enter. And then we're going to change the name of this. You better name these, guys. I mean, seriously. I'm going to call this health underscore TXT. And the progress bar, we're going to call it health underscore BAR, like that. And then I'm going to select the health text, hold down left shift and select the health bar. And we're going to wrap with a horizontal box, just like that. And we're going to take the health bar and set that to fill. Then we're going to take the horizontal box and we're going to stretch it. And now it will resize that health bar to whatever size you make that. We're going to anchor this to the bottom left, compile that and save it. Then we're going to go back into our container widget, the same widget that we put the crosshair in. And now over here under user created, you can see we have one here called health. We're going to drag that in, scale it a little bit, position it a little bit, and we're going to anchor it to the bottom left, compile and save. And now when we spawn in, we should have a health bar. Look at that shit. Beautiful. And now we need to populate that health bar. Let's just make sure the client's got one. Oh yeah, look at that. Now we need to populate that health bar. So we're going to open the health bar widget that we created. And we're going to select the health bar. And right here for the percent, first let's change it to green. Right, so let's set that to 1 tab 0 tab. So it'll be a green health bar. And right here for the percent, we're going to hit bind, create binding, and it's going to put us in here. And we need a reference to where that health variable is, which happens to be on the character blueprint. So maybe we can do this on construct. No, we can't. This is an older version. So this would be well, shit. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it this way. So get owning player pawn. And we're going to cast to the character master or whatever you named your character blueprint. Like this. And then we're going to do an is valid. This macro is valid out of cast succeeded. And from that, we're going to get the get current health. And we're going to get the max health. Get max health. Then we're going to come out of this return value and type divide, float divided by float. And we're going to put the current health in the top, and it will do this conversion for you, integer to float. I think these are right. I might have these backwards because I'm dyslexic as hell, but we will find out one way or the other. Then we're going to duplicate this return node. And if this is not valid, we're going to set that to 0. And if this cast fails, we're going to set that to 0. Compile that and save it. And now let's go see if we have a populated health bar. And we do, just like that. Now, for cosmetic purposes, we're going to open the container and we're going to bring in an image. And we're going to scale this something like that and that. And we need the crosshair, or I mean the health, to be on top. So we're going to bring this up here. And if you point right in between those two, see how it makes that little down arrow yellow thing? Drop it there. We're going to name this background underscore img. We're going to turn that background image to be color and opacity to black. And we're going to set the alpha to be 0.5. And we can probably shrink that down a little bit. It doesn't need to be quite that big. Compile that and save it. And now we should have a little background on our health bar. See that? Beautiful. Okay, so now the next part of this is, since this character now has health, we need to give the weapon the ability to deal damage. Okay, so back in the weapon blueprint, remember this spot that I told you guys right here? We were going to leave blank for now. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use this node called apply. Oh yeah, that's spelled exactly correct. Apply damage. And we're going to come out of this up to here. And then we're going to come out of that right back down into that same event. The damage causer is going to be self, meaning this weapon blueprint is what caused the damage. And the event instigator, we're going to apply that and type get instigator controller, like that. And the damaged actor, we're going to take these hit results and we're going to break them. And that will be the hit actor, will be the damaged actor. And for now, we're just going to type in 10 here for the damage, like that. And now that we have gave this weapon the ability to deal damage, now we need to give the character a way to receive the damage that this weapon dealt. Okay. So back inside the character master blueprint, there is a node built in here called any damage. And it's called event any damage. And this event is set to run on the server by default. That is what this little icon here in the upper right hand corner indicates. So what we're going to do is we're going to be setting this current health and we're going to take the current health. This is a little funky how I put this together, so just pay attention here. We're going to get the current health. We're going to come out of damage and we're going to type minus, and this is going to be float minus float. Okay. And then we're going to hold down the Alt key and unhook this. The current health will go on the top, and see how it's going to convert the integer to a float. It creates that node. The damage is going to go on the bottom, right? So it's going to take whatever your current health is and deduct however much damage that weapon dealt or whatever. Then you take this and plug this into the current health and see how it truncates it for you automatically. And that is that. And if I don't have those backwards, this should work. So I'm going to bring in the blue dude here, and I'm going to shoot him. And you can see it subtracted a little bit of his health bar looking in the lower left corner. And if I take the red dude and shoot the blue dude, it deducts his health. See that? Now the problem currently is this. If I put us both on the same team, red team and red team, I can shoot my player. See that? So team damage is on, basically. So since this project already has teams implemented in it, in the character blueprint, what we can do is we can take the instigator here. Let me light me a smoke here and think for a second. I'm trying to think of how I do this. Hello, David. What's happening, dude? So this instigated by, if you hover over it, you can see that it is a controller reference. So when I set this project up, I'm pretty sure that in the player controller, I put a reference to what team the player is on. Okay. And as you can see here, clearly I did. See, this is the player controller that comes in this project. So I'm passing in what team the player is on. So then that means in the character blueprint, if I was to take the instigator controller reference and let's see, do I have to cast? I'm not sure. Let's try team. Nope, it don't show up. So that means I have to cast to the player controller in this project, which is called PC MP Simple CTF. So first, we're going to cast to that. And then from that player controller, we want the team the player is on. And we're going to compare it to the local team in the character blueprint. So we're going to get this. And if these are not equal enum, so if these are not equal, meaning they're not the same, we're going to put a branch. If these are not the same, then and only then do we allow the damage. See how that works? And we'll compile that and save it. And now we do not have the ability to hurt each other if we're on the same team. See there? Doesn't hurt him now. Yep, that avoids friendly fire, but if I put him on the blue team, just to test and make sure this all works, he should still be able to hurt him. See his health bar? One more thing. When his health reaches 0, if we go back into the character blueprint, master character blueprint, we're going to put a branch here. And when this is less than or equal to integer, and it is 0, I already in this project have set up a elaborate death system and respawn system. So there should be an event in here called server kill player. So all we have to do is when this health reaches 0, we call server kill player, just like that. You know, probably we should put a do once here just to make sure that it doesn't just keep killing him over and over and over. I think I already put that down here, but I mean, I can go check. Nope, it don't look like I did. So putting that do once up there, that's probably a good idea. And so now, when his health reaches 0, he should die and then auto respawn. So we will see. One more. Now let's see if he respawns. Good. Bam. And then if I take red dude and kill blue dude, he should respawn over on the blue side. And he did. One problem, obviously, you see the guns laying here? We could just leave it like that, right? But, you know, we need to destroy the gun after he's dead, right? So we could do that right up here. But since we're doing this whole server kill player thing, it'd probably be a better idea to let's see here. Server kill player is dead. Well, I mean, that's the respawn timer, so it should go right here, right? So I'm just going to hot splice this in here. And we will say, we will get the current weapon ref. And we will check if it is valid with this macro. And if it is valid, we will destroy actor. And if it's not valid, we're just going to skip over the destroy actor. Okay. And now that should theoretically get rid of the damn gun when he dies. Theoretically. Everything's theoretically until it's not. And you can see his gun is gone. And if we take red dude, kill blue dude. Done. You know, we probably should leave the gun until it destroys the player. right? Because that just looks a little weird. Let me see. It's been a long time since I built this project, guys, so you'll have to bear with me here. Let's see here. On event unpossessed. So right here is where we're destroying the actor, meaning the player. So why don't we undo this here? And we will move this. Make sure we hook this back up. We will move this. This is going to have to be rearranged because of order of operation, right? So this is the destroying of the player. This is the destroying of the weapon. So we will do this. If this is valid, we'll do that and then destroy the player. If this is not valid, we're just going to skip that and kill the player. Like that. How about now? Is that better? We don't build crappy stuff here in Galt's Gulch, by the way. And now that gun will disappear when the player goes. Bam. And now let's take red dude and kill blue dude. And bam. Perfect. So there you go, guys. Now, this little $6 template that I just did this in, this ought to be able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is worth every single nickel of that $6. It's already got a bunch of stuff done. You just got to take it to, you know, work however it is that you want it to work. Now, we made a shooter, obviously. And as I said before in the beginning of the stream, the reason I didn't put this in here to begin with is because what if you don't want a shooter capture the flag? What if you want a fighting game where you do sidekicks and top spins and all that? Well, if I don't went ahead and put the shooting mechanics in it, somebody would have had to went in here and ripped all that shooting stuff out. So it's better just to not put it in the first place. All you need is a core foundation to start from. Then you take it and morph it into whatever it is that you want it to be. Okay? Templates that you buy on the marketplace are not meant to be completed games. It's not, you're not meant to buy a template on the marketplace, spend one day changing out the default meshes to real meshes, changing out the default sounds to real sounds, and then put it on Steam for $10 and pretend like you made a game. That's not what templates are meant to be. Templates are meant to be, particularly my templates, a really good starting point. Okay? A really good starting point. So when you get ready to build a game, if you know that you're going to want to capture the flag game, if you take this $6 template, you already have the core foundation of a capture the flag game. Okay? If you want a co-op multiplayer shooter game with AI, that's where you go get my TPS basic template. If you want a multiplayer first-person shooter, that's where you go get my multiplayer first-person shooter basic. If you want the ability to be able to pick classes and teams, that is where you go get my teams and class select template. And they're all 100% tested, solid, hardcore starting points. That's exactly what they're for. Okay. Now, the only other thing that I didn't check here is, if I go pick up Blue Dude's flag over here and I get my butt shot off while I have said flag, I died, and as you can see, I dropped the flag. And of course, I can return it to the base, just like that. So let me make sure that the same thing happens, which it should. If I get Red Dude's flag and he hoses me, drop the flag and I returned it. Voila. John Gall, how come you didn't put it in where you get points? Your player gets points for returning his flag. Guys, it's not meant to be a game. It's meant to be a starting point. What if you don't want the player to get points whenever the flag's returned? If I'd have put that in here, that'd just be one more thing somebody had to take out, right? There's many, many, many ways that you accrue points in a multiplayer game. You can give points for killing. You can give more points for killing a flag carrier. You can give points for how long you happen to have the flag. You can give points for capturing the flag, right? Well, hell, I don't know how people want it. They may not want it to play the way that I want it to play. So it's best to leave a blank slate for them to determine how the points are accrued. I've already got a way to score and display the score. So all you need to do is figure out how you want to accrue your points, right? See, if I go over here and cap this, look at that, 1 point. Two points. Let me go ahead and win. How come there ain't no sound effects when you pick the flag up? Well, how come there ain't no sound effects when you capture the flag? It should go, red team scores, right? Well, it's because I didn't want to record shitty sound effects for one. So instead, when you win, it just does that. And then when you're in a packaged build, you wait here like this for 10 seconds and then it takes you to the next map, right? Easy peasy. Okay. So there is that. So let me bring Chad over here. Yep. Hello. To avoid friendly fire. That is correct. Folks go to Marketplace to look for games and not templates. Yeah, that's exactly what they do. What's your take on Epic Online Service? I have no comment on Epic's online service because I've never used it yet. I haven't used it. The only thing that my projects have been set up for is Steam. And that's because these projects were built long before Epic Online Services was even a thing. And so as long as Steam still works, I'm going to leave it this way. I don't have any plans on putting any support in my projects for Epic's online services. So I don't have no idea. Don't know if it's good, bad, or ugly. All right, guys. Well, I think that this stream has been long enough. So if you guys ain't got any questions over there, I will probably end the stream. But this is a good place for me to say this. I appreciate any and all support that you guys give me. There is a link underneath every video on my YouTube page with a link to my PayPal account, where if you feel so inclined and gracious that you can contribute monetarily to my efforts here on this wee little YouTube page of showing how to do these kinds of things. Alternately, if you don't own any of my products, you damn well ought to. So there is also a link to my UE4 marketplace page where you can buy this template for $6 as well as the other products I sell. There is also a link to a course that I sell on Udemy teaching and instructing multiplayer mechanics from ground zero, taking a blank project and building it all the way into a packageable, hostable game. Yeah, so that's that. So with that, you guys take care. This is John Galt, and we will see you in another video in another time. Have a good one.